Assalamu alaikum. Today I'm here with another board game review of Tiny Towns. Tiny Towns is a 1 to 6 player competitive family weight level city building game from AEG, in which you use bingo style resource gathering mechanism. That is, one player calls for a resource, everyone gets that resource, you get to place it on your tiny boards that you get in this game, and as soon as you make a specific pattern of resources on your board, Tetris like patterns, then you get to replace them with a building. Those buildings are going to give you specific conditional victory points, and the player who gets maximum victory points is going to be the winner. So the game is very easy to play, but it features a lot of replayability, a lot of charm, a lot of wooden cubes, a lot of beauty in it. So let's get closer to the table and I will tell you how you are supposed to win, what are you trying to do, and then how do you actually play the game. Come closer. What you will be trying to do in Tiny Towns is build up these different kind of buildings, which are represented by these chunky wooden blocks. And for each of the buildings, the game comes with multiple cards. So normally there are 3 to 4 cards for each type of building that you will get to shuffle up and pick one of those that will be played during this game. So you will be revealing one of each building type. That will be the game type or building type that be represented in this game, and that's where the variety comes or replayability comes in this game, except the purple one. I will come to the purple one later, but right now you will reveal one of each building type. And once you reveal these building types, you will notice that there are different kind of patterns and the resources that are shown there, which are required to build those buildings in that specific shape. So what those resources are is represented by these wooden cubes. So for example, the yellow cube is a wheat, brown is wood, gray is stone, red is brick, and blue is glass. So these are the 5 goods, different type of goods that you are going to use in this game to actually build these different kind of buildings. As soon as you have made a specific pattern, so for example, if I'm trying to make this cottage and I'm able to make that pattern, so a yellow, a glass, and a red, then this gets converted into a cottage. I'll be picking these up and placing my cottage building anywhere on any of these 3 squares from where I picked up the 3 resources. Now these shapes can be rotated, mirrored in any way you like. So even if I try to make it like this will still be valid. With the blue in the middle, red on one side, yellow on one side, even though shape was it, so I rotated it, this is still fine. It will get converted into a cottage, and I can place that cottage on any of these 3 types. Similarly, other buildings we can make as well. Each of these buildings are going to give different kind of scoring as well, and that's where the game is, that you are trying to actually make a tiny town, because once you have placed any resource or any building on your board, then it cannot be moved. So you have to manage the space around it so that you can build any future buildings as well. Now right now, so for example, if I wanted to build a tailor shop here, then this will be blocking this additional location, so I will not be able to build it here. So maybe I will be required to build it like this later on, and then I can convert this into a tailor shop, but this space moving it all towards this side is not going to be possible. And that's how you actually convert these things into different kind of buildings and keep making your town. What you are trying to do, there are different kind of conditions given under each of these buildings. As long as you meet those conditions, then you are going to get different variety of points. So for example, cottage is going to give you 3 points if this building is fed. So by default, this building is not going to give you any points because it's a cottage, so you have attracted some residences to your town. But then if there is no food available to them, then you are not going to get any points. How do you get food? That is through any kind of farm kind of building. So for example, farms are these red buildings. In each of the game there will be different kind of farm options available. So for example, in this one there is an orchard that we can make. It feeds all the cottages building in the same row and column as the orchard. So orchards are in rows and columns as depicted in the beautiful artwork as well. And that's what you're going to achieve, that as long as you have this in any row or column, then in any future cottage that you make, so by itself it's not giving, orchard does not give any points, cottages give points. But this orchard has 2 cottages in this row, so I will be getting 3 plus 3, 6 points for this. Plus within the same column I have another cottage, so 6 plus 3, 9 points for my cottages. But if I had a cottage over here, then I'm not going to score for this, because this is going to be a problem for me, that okay, this is not in the same row or column for this orchard. In this way you are going to check the different conditions, and each building is going to present a different challenge of rows and columns and how they are going to be scored. So for example, let's have a look at few other examples as well. The tailor shop, it gives 1 victory point straight away once you build it. Then +1 for each tailor shop in the 4 center squares of your town. So if I was, so remember I placed the cubes here. So if I built my tailor shop rather than here in this corner, I had built the table shop in these central 4 squares, then it's going to give +1 additional point. So it can be worth 1 point or 2 points based on where I build it. The fountains are going to be very simple. They are just beautification. So they have much easier condition. I need wood and 1 stone for it. It gives 2 points if adjacent to another fountain. So if I build a lot of fountains closer to each other, then I get 2 points for adjacency. Warehouses. Now these black buildings are kind of special building, and until we understand how the game is played, because I have still not told you how you're going to play the game, so I will come to this one later, just like I have not told you about the purple ones. Abbey is going to be so these are mostly religious kind of buildings, the temples, abbeys that you can get to build. You will get 3 points if not adjacent to a warehouse. It doesn't want to be near a warehouse, it doesn't want to be near an inn type of building, or it doesn't want to be near a tailor shop. And if you are able to meet its conditions, so that's why it prefers farms, it prefers cottages, it prefers normal humble people to be around them. So if you are able to meet those conditions, then you are going to get 3 points for the abbey. Orchard we already explained, and then I am going to tell you about the almshouse or inns. In this you will be getting the green buildings are almshouses, inns, those kinds of building. So you will be, in this one you will be basing your score based on how many you build. So there will be exponential score increase, or not exponential, there will be increase, but at certain counts it will be deducting scores as well. So if you build only 1, it's going to deduct your 1 score, but if you build 2, it's giving you 5 points. But if you build 3, then it's -3. But if you are able to build 4, then it's 15. So it's a neat balance, that do you really want to risk it? So there is a push your luck element now assigned with it. That's what's happening in almshouse. Do you want to invest a lot in it? If you can build 6, then it's 26 points just for these buildings, which is a lot as compared to what you can do with 6 cottages. But that's up to you, that are you willing to risk that? So are you a gambling man and going to try that? That's up to you. And that's why Abbey doesn't want to be near an almshouse, because some gambling kind of activity is happening over there. So that's the basic, you have got the idea. But as I said, there are many other, and in each game you will be getting a different variety of buildings, and each of these buildings have different artwork, different scoring conditions, even though the wooden blocks that will be used are similar, but they represent a type of building, but they have different functionalities. So different combinations, a lot of variety, a lot of replayability that you can get out of these. And these are big giant tarot size cards. These are not normal size cards. So you get to look at the beautiful artwork in all its glory. Now, what else are you actually going to do on your turn, or how you actually play, now that you have understood what we are trying to do? So on your turn, let's clear up the boards again. So on your turn, each player is going to first of all decide who the current active player is, or what the game calls the master builder. He will have this giant lovely hammer. But once you decide that, then he is going to actually say which resource he needs. So I can plan for any type of building. Let's say the cottage, I'm going with that. And I will say I need glass. But once this player says glass, then the game works on a bingo type mechanic that all other players have to pick up glass as well, and they can place it anywhere on their board. So there is no downtime. Each player is engaged on everyone's turn, because the game uses bingo mechanics when every player is going to be taking turns, irrespective which player did the turn. The turn goes to the master builder, becomes the next player becomes the master builder, and then they get to pick. And they might say I need gold, or they might say I need stone, and they are actually trying to build something else. And my plan was to build a cottage, and now this stone is not really going as per my plan. I can change my plan. Maybe he's trying to build the tailor shop, but maybe I'm still invested in making a cottage. So maybe I place the stone elsewhere. But remember, once I have placed the stone somewhere, I cannot change its location. And that's one of the fun things of this game, that how the space will become constructed, and in future I have to use this stone in some kind of formation of a building. So maybe I have to think about 2 or 3 buildings in advance which I want to build at different locations. So maybe I want to build an abbey over here, or maybe I want to build a fountain, and maybe I want to, because I know I'm making a cottage over here, I will need an orchard later on. So maybe I do want to place a stone here, because then I can place a stone, 2 wheat and 1 wood here to convert this into an orchard which will feed my cottage. So maybe it still serves my plan. Slowly players will keep on doing like this. Now the active player changes again, the honor master builder changes again. I say I need brick. The other player has to place brick somewhere, which might help him or not. Then he picks, for example, for the tailor shop, gold, which helps me as well. And as soon as someone has a patron, they can claim that okay, my patron is done, I'm changing it to a cottage, and the resources go back to the town. The other player maybe can go next time, and he needs 1 more stone. Actually gold he placed here, I messed it up. So he made the tailor shop on the next turn, but as soon as he picks a stone, I need to pick a stone, and I don't need any more stone for the orchard. So I'm again in a fix. So maybe I need to place it somewhere far away. It doesn't hurt my plan. He made a tailor shop, and he is going to place that tailor shop over where he intended. In this way, the game will continue from one player to other. The game is so simple. I have already explained all the rules to you. One time, the master builder will keep on switching between the players, and they will keep saying what turn they want to, what resource they want to pick up, and accordingly each player is forced to actually take those cubes. Sometimes as the spaces actually on this board start to grow tighter, then the problem is going to start that I was going heavy in the cottage strategy. The spaces on my board are going to get filled up very soon, and the sooner they fill up, the problem is going to start, that it's going to become problematic for people to actually do things. So maybe I was able to later on build a fountain here. and it's going to be problematic for the people that what do we do now. And then, for example, if this was the condition, then I cannot make any more tailor shapes. That kind of shape is no longer possible. I cannot make a warehouse with my remaining spaces. He cannot make a warehouse with his remaining spaces or another tailor shop based on the configuration left. It might not be even possible to build an orchard. So why invest in a cottage if he cannot make an orchard? Maybe he will try to make more farmhouses. And those are the kind of decisions. Now at these kind of middle stages, you will be trying to block others, not only complete your resources, but you will be trying to see, oh, what's the resource that other person is going to take. So if you think that, okay, I'm going to make an arms house here, so I will take a stone, but I know he has taken a brick. He's not going to go for this. Maybe he's trying to go for something else, but it doesn't require stone, or I need another stone. He is going to go for another stone anyway. So maybe I will pick up a resource which he's not going to, which he is going to call anyway, so that on his turn, when he picks up that resource, I get that resource for free on my turn as well. So those are the kind of things you will be going for, thinking that, okay, what's the other player going to pick? Maybe I don't pick that resource, I pick something else. So I get two things, one for my turn and one for the other player's turn, which is going to benefit me. Or I pick something which only I need right now, and the other players are going to go in trouble if they pick up and they don't have space to actually use them. And that's where the strategic or more interesting decisions in this simple game come from. Now, the only two type of buildings I did not discuss were these warehouses. So once you build a warehouse, since you have understood the concept of forcefully or regretfully taking a resource which you might not need. If I didn't need this glass, then the warehouses are a great source. They have these edges on the top which shows storage areas. So I can actually place any additional resources in the warehouse which I don't actually need. So they store those cubes rather than wasting space on my board and forcefully letting me take such kind of resources. It is going to absorb those resources. But the problem is, most of these warehouse kind of buildings give negative scoring. So you want to avoid them, but you can build them tactfully, because otherwise a building, this might give me -1 for storing a resource here and never using it. But if I'm able to make a building which gives me 3 points, it might be worth to store, so at least get a -1 and still complete my 3-pointer building to in the end get a deficit of 2 points. So you can strategically use these buildings to end up with higher points, and you will be fighting for these 2-3 points, because you'll be very close in your points. Unless somebody has played horribly wrong, you will be very close in points to each other. Then this is the warehouse. Then the maximum number of cards, the other type of building, are these special monument kind of buildings, and there are too many cards. The maximum variety of cards is available in this. Now these will be privately given to each player, one card to each player. So one card will be available to this player, one card will be available to this. These don't actually go back in the market, they are removed from the game, and each player can see what specific card they have. And in private, they don't have to show it to other player, but just for your information, I'm keeping it open here. So these are unique buildings that are only available to this specific player, and this building is only specific to this player. These are represented by these pink monument towers. Once you are able to complete this, then you can place this one monument tower on your board. There are only as many monument towers as the number of players, which means you can build this building only once. It's a monument, it's not a typical kind of building that you keep building multiple buildings. You cannot build any of them, you can only build it once. So once you build this building, then this condition is going to be fulfilled. So for example, for me, The card is Star Loom. If I'm able to make this shape, I will get victory points based on when you complete your town, which position I'm in when you complete your town. So if I'm the first player to actually finish working on my town, I'll be getting 6 points. If I'm going to be second, I will be third, 3 points, third 2 points, and if I'm fourth, fifth or sixth, then I get 0 points. So if I do think I will get to finish my town first before other players, then I should invest in this building. But if I don't think I'll be able to complete, then maybe I don't want to build this building. Let's take another example. So this one, if someone builds it, you don't get any victory points, but what it says is immediately place 3 unique buildings on this card. Whenever a player on your left or right constructs one of these buildings, take the building from here and place it on an empty square in your town. So as soon as you are able to actually, this does not come into effect, as soon as you are able to make this shape on your board, then you flip it over to reveal it that I have completed my task and my tower is here. Once you have this tower, then what the card is saying that you will be taking 3 unique buildings. So for example, I decide the other player, the player on my left or right, is heavily investing in cottages. So I'll take 1 cottage, 1 orchard, and maybe he is still going to make an abbey to be next to his cottages and farms. I'll take an abbey. And if this player ever actually makes a cottage, then this cottage becomes free for me and I can place it directly anywhere without doing anything, and I will get all the same advantage. The next time this player makes a farm, I will get to place my farm for free and it can feed my cottage. Similarly, if he makes an abbey, I get to make an abbey. So in this way, different cards have different abilities. Some cards directly give you victory points. Some cards give you special powers, special abilities, which can help you in other ways. And there are a lot of variety of these towers, shires, architects guild, Barrett's castle, cathedral of Katrina, Mandara's palace, Groove University, archive, the sky baths, statues, forts, obelisks, grand mausoleum, Silva Forum, many with their different unique abilities. And that's where the beauty of this game lies, in simplicity, whereas a lot of replayability of the different kind of things that you get to see in this game. There is one more variant for you to play. This bingo style that each player chooses how to play is the default mode, but if you're playing solo or if you just want some slight randomness, then the game also comes with this deck of random resource deck cards. And what you do is, rather than each player choosing which resource they want, you just flip a card and it tells you, okay, this round everyone takes a wheat, then next time this round everyone takes a stone, this time everyone takes a brick. I think it's a weak variant because the more fun is when the players actually get to pick and choose that which resource they really want, and then try to look at other players' board and make strategic decisions at that time. Because maybe everyone got a wood, nobody really needed wood. It was a really waste of time, especially considering these towns are really tiny. No pun intended, but this is really a tiny board. So you do want to utilize, you don't want any of your turns to go to waste. So these cards, in my opinion, are a weak variant and you should just leave them back in the box and not use it. Now that you have seen how the game actually plays, once every player is done, you will be seeing once every player is not able to place any additional building on the board or place additional cubes on the board, that player gets eliminated. Once all the players are eliminated, then you start going for the scoring round. Any empty spaces left on your board is going to count for negative points as well. So you want to make as congested town as possible to score maximum things. Once you are done, the game does come with an oversized scoring pad on which you will be recording your scores for all the players to find out who the actual master builder was for the town. And that's the game of tiny towns. Now, the game obviously has a lot of charm in it. The artwork, superb. It uses anamorphic animals, even though on majority of the building art you don't see them. On some card art, you do see those anamorphic animals, cute mouse sitting in a forum, giving dialogue, things like that. But it's the animal artwork is so minimal that mostly you think, oh, these are human towns, but no, these are animal towns that we are making. But the chunky wooden components are going to be the star of the show. It's going to be fun to place these colored things on your board, and players are going to enjoy that. If you don't like downtime, which kids especially don't, then this is going to be a really good game for them, especially because every player is taking resources, every player is playing their time. The only thing, I really don't think these boards look very great. They are functional, but they don't look very great. And that might be my only nitpicky complaint about the overall look and the production of this game. Now, coming to the gameplay. As you have seen, the gameplay is very simple. Take a resource, make a shape, and you get some scoring based on that. So even though the game does come with a lot of cards, with a lot of combos and variety, but I still think that, in my personal opinion, um, the game does lose its charm after 3-4 plays. It loses its charm. It just becomes kind of monotonous. Even though the variety of the actions of cards are there, still the game itself is too simple that it does not lend itself to a deep thinking game. And the, that might be absolutely fine, because if that's the kind of weight that you're looking for, if you're looking to introduce something, a gateway style game to your family, to people, to your relatives, to your friends who have not played any other heavy board games, then Tiny Towns is a fascinating entry into that world. But if you have already played a lot of board games, I think, other than the strategy that, okay, when do I do kind of a hate draft of this so that everyone gets to pick up a resource which they don't want, other than that, there will be very less strategic points when you get to feel like a gamer in this game. And that's kind of where the game drops in score, in my opinion. So I do wish the game had done a little bit more rules to do something about the very simplistic nature of it. But otherwise, maybe if that's what you're looking for, then this is a perfectly fine game. So that's why I'm telling you, that's my opinion based upon where I am in my gaming hobby right now. But your opinion might be different. That's why I explained the game in a lot of detail, so that you can understand what the fun aspects might be for you in this one. If you're playing it for the first time, it's super charming. If you're early in your gaming career, it's a super charming game. So do try it out. But if you are already in heavy games, the Marrow Trash games, you are, I mean, maybe just skip Tiny Towns, because it's not going to offer anything radically new or radically deep which is going to attract you. But then again, that's my opinion. Make your own opinion. So if you have any other questions for me, do leave them in the comments. That's it for me. Happy gaming.